Folks, March 15th gathering, the Fort Harrison Reuse Authority, the Ides of March, people. So thanks for coming out. It's not exactly balmy spring weather. It's not necessarily Chamber of Commerce weather out there, but we'll get through this, folks. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm blaming you, though. There you go. It's supposed to warm up, and it's basketball time. Exciting times. I think the world is coming back to normal, I hope. Mr. Lacey Johnson is joining us by phone. Mr. Johnson, how you doing, sir? All right, and we do have a quorum established here. So with that said, Mr. Fenwick, what do you have from the world of Treasury?
Nothing new to report. I know we've been working on a 5-year budget, and it's getting closer, but hopefully that'll be done here soon.
Okay.
All I have to report.
All right. Before we jump down, I just want to give a shout out to Aletha and Heather. We did have a board retreat a couple weeks back at the Fort Benjamin Harrison House downtown. I highly recommend making the trip. If you've never been there, it's been 10 years for me, and just a change of venue, but our namesake out here is very enjoyable and informative from our end. So thank you, ladies, for arranging that. It was a nice little distraction, and we actually got some things done. Real quick, thank you once more for getting the February minutes out. I hope everyone's had a chance to peruse them. If there are any additions, changes, questions to them. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Since Mr. Johnson is going remote, do a roll call here. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Fenwick?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson? Lacey?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. All right, next up, we only have a couple of actionable items before we get to Ms. Dunstan's report and news from the fort. Springtime, and there are more and more things springing up. Real quick, we have the authorization, approval, execution of certain letter of intent for sale of property, commonly known as Parcel C, 5747 Post Road, to Davis Building Group LLC for development of 18 market rate homes. Upon approval, the executive director and president are authorized to negotiate, finalize the purchase agreement for the project with Davis Building Group LLC, with the final purchase agreement brought to the board for final approval. Any discussion on the matter?
President, I need to recuse myself from consideration on this matter.
Thank you very much. So noted. Any other discussion? Mr. Johnson, being none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize and approve the execution of that certain letter of intent for sale.
A motion made by Ms. Powers, second by Mr. Johnson. Roll call vote. Mr. Fenwick?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
And not needing my vote, it carries. Thank you. All right, our second actionable item tonight is authorization approval of transfer of alcoholic beverage permit currently held by the Fort Harrison Reuse Authority upon terms and conditions to be negotiated and finalized by the executive director and president of the board, with a final transfer agreement to be presented to and approved and ratified by the board at a follow-up meeting. Discussion, Ms. Dunstan? Anything you would like to add there?
I'll just note that this is the liquor license that we've had in escrow for about 4.5 years, originally intended for the 56th Street development, but will be expiring in June of this year.
Have some questions? Ms. Powers, Mr. Johnson, any questions?
Yes, if there a callback or a provision for us to license it, should something go awry?
Yeah, the question is, will there be kind of a clawback to the reuse authority if something were to go awry, or if they no longer needed the permit for whoever we transfer it to? And yes, that will be part of the development agreement that we negotiate.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd entertain that motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve and authorize the approval of the transfer upon terms and conditions.
So noted. A motion made by Mr. Brown, a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Powers, second. I'll take the roll call. I'm going to start right to left here. Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Fenwick?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's get that going. Being no other actionable items, Ms. Dunstan, it's yours.
Well, you mentioned it's spring, so, we had a couple dormant months, but definitely seeing some changes around the fort. You'll notice that the Otis Apartments, just north of Otis Avenue, the 261 market rate apartment complex is well underway, and they are actually starting to pre-lease their spaces and doing showings now, if anyone's interested in going out there. We closed on 4 additional David Weekley single-family homes in Phase 3 of that development, so that leaves us now with 24 available lots. You'll also notice the fencing just south of Civic Plaza on the south edge of Otis Avenue, just south of the office suites in Giacomo's building. That is the location of the new Hilton True Hotel, so that'll be a 98-room hotel, and they, I believe, poured their footers in the last few days for that. So kind of getting a jump start on the spring and that development. We are in the design process of that Civic Plaza redesign, the area that currently holds the farmers market and some of the other activities around the fort. I'm trying to think. Those are the big ones. And at the end of this, there is a time for open communication. If you have questions on any other projects, be happy to answer them.
All right. Any comment from the public? Feel free to step up. Questions? Seeing none, our next meeting will be April 19th, and I guarantee Daffodils will be out, and they'll be playing baseball. My Orioles are already be eliminated, but what the heck?
The one other date I wanted to note, the State of the City address, there's a new date and time of May 12th from 11:30 to 1 p.m., so that went from a breakfast to lunch, and you can register with the Greater Lawrence Chamber on that event.
All right. Anything else from the board? I move we're adjourned.